For centuries, the menstrual cycle has been linked to changes in mood and behavior. Many people who menstruate are familiar with the emotional shifts that can happen throughout the month. These experiences have often been dismissed as simple hormonal fluctuations, without a deeper understanding of what is truly happening inside the body. However, we are now living in a remarkable era of scientific discovery. New research is showing us that the menstrual cycle does much more than just affect our emotions. It actively and physically reshapes the brain in a predictable cyclical pattern. This is a groundbreaking revelation that moves our understanding far beyond the surface-level symptoms we often talk about. The brain has long been considered a relatively stable organ in adulthood, with major changes only happening during development or due to injury. The idea that it could undergo significant structural transformations every single month was, until recently, uncharted territory. Our new studies are challenging this old belief. We are discovering that the brain is incredibly dynamic and responsive. It adapts to the monthly rhythm of hormones in ways we are only just beginning to comprehend. These are not minor tweaks. These are measurable changes to the very structure of the brain's gray matter, white matter, and even the fluid that surrounds it, happening over and over again. This is a monumental shift in neuroscience. For too long, research has overlooked the unique biology of people who menstruate. Many studies historically focused on male subjects to avoid the complication of hormonal cycles. This created a huge gap in our knowledge, affecting roughly half of the world's population. By finally turning our scientific attention to the menstrual cycle's effect on the brain, we are opening a new frontier. We are not just validating the lived experiences of millions, but also building a foundation to better understand health and disease in a way that is inclusive and comprehensive. The implications of this research are vast and exciting. Understanding how the brain changes month to month could unlock new insights into everything from learning and memory to mental health conditions. Conditions like premenstrual syndrome, or PMS, and the more severe premenstrual dysphoric disorder, or PMDD, might finally be understood not just as mood disorders, but as conditions with a clear, physical basis in the brain's structure. This journey into the menstrual brain is just beginning, and it promises to reshape our view of female health, neuroscience, and what it means to have a cyclically changing body. To uncover the secrets of the brain during the menstrual cycle, we needed a very specific and careful plan. Our goal was to create a detailed map of the brain as it changed over time. We couldn't just take one picture, we had to take a series of pictures at very specific moments. To do this, we brought together a group of 30 healthy women. We tracked each of them closely across their entire menstrual cycle. The key was to capture the brain during 3 distinct phases: menstruation, when hormone levels are low; ovulation, when some hormones peak; and the mid-luteal phase, when other hormones are high. This allowed us to compare the brain's state at different hormonal points. The main tool we used to see inside the brain was magnetic resonance imaging, or MRI. An MRI machine is a powerful scanner that uses a strong magnetic field and radio waves to create detailed images of the brain. It is completely safe and non-invasive, meaning it doesn't harm the body. With these MRI scans, we could look at the brain structure with incredible precision. We were interested in 2 main types of brain tissue. One is gray matter, which contains the brain's nerve cells and is involved in thinking and processing information. The other is white matter, which is made of the long, insulated cables that connect different brain regions and allow them to communicate quickly. Of course, looking at the brain's structure was only half of the story. We also needed to know exactly what the hormones were doing at the same time. To get this information, we collected saliva samples from our participants throughout the study. From these samples, we could measure the levels of key hormones that drive the menstrual cycle. These included estradiol, which is a type of estrogen, progesterone, luteinizing hormone, or LH, and follicle-stimulating hormone, or FSH. By matching the hormone data with the MRI scans, we could directly link specific hormonal changes to the physical changes we were seeing in the brain structure. This careful, multi-step process was essential for our discovery. It was like creating a time-lapse movie of the brain. By taking snapshots at these crucial moments and knowing the exact hormonal environment for each snapshot, we could piece together a dynamic story. Previous research had hinted at these changes, but our study, published in 2023, was one of the first to systematically track and demonstrate these significant, brain-wide structural transformations. It provided the concrete evidence needed to show that the menstrual cycle physically remodels the brain every single month, setting a new course for future research. One of the most fascinating discoveries we made was related to the period just before ovulation. This is a time when the body is preparing to release an egg, and it is driven by a surge of specific hormones. We found that this hormonal surge has a direct and measurable effect on the brain's white matter. As a reminder, white matter is like the internet cabling of the brain. It is made up of bundles of nerve fibers, called axons, that are wrapped in a fatty substance called myelin. This myelin sheath acts as an insulator, allowing electrical signals to travel very quickly and efficiently between different parts of the brain. Better connectivity means faster information transfer. During our study, we observed that as levels of 17-beta estradiol, a potent form of estrogen, and luteinizing hormone, or LH, began to rise sharply just before ovulation, the structure of the white matter changed. Our MRI scans suggested that these changes were making the brain's communication pathways more efficient. It was as if the brain was upgrading its internal network to prepare for a crucial event. This finding is incredibly significant because it shows a direct link between the hormones responsible for ovulation and the physical wiring that supports brain function. The brain isn't just a passive bystander. It is actively participating in the process. Think of it like a city preparing for a major festival. Before the event, the city might upgrade its public transportation system, adding more trains and clearing the tracks to ensure everyone can get where they need to go quickly and easily. In a similar way, the brain appears to be enhancing its communication network around ovulation. While we don't yet know the exact behavioral or cognitive consequences of this change, it opens up many exciting possibilities for future investigation. Does this lead to sharper thinking, better memory, or changes in social behavior during this fertile window? These are the questions we can now start to ask. This discovery challenges the old view of white matter as being static in adults. We now have evidence that it is plastic and dynamic, capable of changing in response to the body's natural hormonal rhythms. This monthly rewiring is a beautiful example of how intricately the brain and body are connected. The same hormones that govern reproduction are also fine-tuning the very structure of the brain's communication superhighway. It's a powerful demonstration that the brain is constantly adapting, not just over a lifetime, but over the course of a single month. While white matter was busy improving its connectivity, we noticed another remarkable change happening in the brain's gray matter. Gray matter is the part of the brain that we often associate with thinking, processing information, and performing complex tasks. It's where the main bodies of the nerve cells, or neurons, are located. It is the brain's command center. Our research revealed that as the menstrual cycle progresses towards ovulation, the gray matter in certain areas actually becomes thicker. This finding suggests that the brain isn't just improving its communication lines, it's also reinforcing its processing centers. This thickening of the gray matter was specifically linked to rising levels of a hormone called follicle-stimulating hormone, or FSH. FSH plays a crucial role early in the cycle by stimulating the follicles in the ovaries to grow and prepare an egg for release. What we discovered is that this same hormone appears to be influencing the brain's physical structure at the same time. As FSH levels increased, so did the thickness of the gray matter. This suggests a coordinated effort, where the hormonal signals that prepare the body for potential pregnancy are also building up the brain's processing power. What does thicker gray matter mean in practical terms? Generally, increased gray matter volume or thickness is associated with better cognitive function and more robust neural networks. It could mean that the brain is dedicating more resources to tasks like decision-making, emotional regulation, or sensory processing during this specific phase of the cycle. It's like adding more computers to an office to handle a bigger workload. The brain seems to be physically enhancing its hardware in preparation for the hormonal and potential physiological events to come. This discovery adds another layer to our understanding of the brain's incredible plasticity. The fact that a hormone primarily known for its role in the ovaries can also trigger structural growth in the brain is a testament to the deeply interconnected nature of our bodies. It's not a one-way street where the brain tells the body what to do. Instead, it's a constant conversation, with hormones from the body sending signals that directly influence the brain's physical form. This monthly cycle of gray matter growth provides a stunning example of how the brain continuously rebuilds and adapts to our internal biological rhythms. After ovulation occurs, the hormonal landscape of the body changes dramatically once again. This next stage is called the luteal phase, and it is dominated by a different hormone, progesterone. Progesterone's main job is to prepare the uterus for a potential pregnancy. Our research revealed that this rise in progesterone corresponds with yet another set of profound structural changes in the brain. We observed that as progesterone levels went up, the overall volume of brain tissue appeared to increase. The brain was, in a sense, becoming fuller. This increase in tissue volume was accompanied by another fascinating and related change. The brain isn't just packed tightly inside the skull, it actually floats in a clear, protective liquid called cerebrospinal fluid, or CSF. This fluid acts as a cushion, protecting the brain from injury, and also plays a role in clearing waste products. What we found was that as progesterone rose and brain tissue volume increased, the volume of cerebrospinal fluid decreased. It's a logical relationship. If the brain tissue takes up more space, there is less room left for the fluid surrounding it. This dynamic interplay between brain tissue and CSF is a critical finding. It suggests that the brain's physical size and the fluid environment it sits in are not constant, but are actively regulated by the menstrual cycle. The rise in progesterone during the luteal phase seems to trigger a shift, causing the brain itself to swell slightly and displace some of the surrounding fluid. This could have wide-ranging effects on everything from brain pressure to how efficiently waste is cleared from the brain. It's a physical change that could potentially be felt by the individual, although we are just beginning to explore what those experiences might be. Understanding this fluid shift is particularly important for conditions that are more common or worsen during the premenstrual phase, such as migraines. Changes in intracranial pressure and fluid dynamics are known to be linked to headaches. The discovery that progesterone drives a decrease in CSF volume provides a potential biological mechanism that could help explain why some individuals are more vulnerable to certain symptoms during this specific time of the month. It's another piece of the puzzle, showing how hormonal shifts translate into tangible physical changes within the skull. Beyond the structural changes in gray and white matter, other recent research has shown that the brain's activity also changes throughout the menstrual cycle. A 2024 study looked at the brain's functional networks using a technique called resting state fMRI. This method allows scientists to observe how different brain regions communicate with each other when a person is not focused on a specific task. They discovered that the brain's flexibility, or its ability to switch between different network configurations, changes predictably across the cycle. This flexibility is sometimes called metastability, and it's a sign of a healthy, adaptable brain. The study found that this brain flexibility was at its highest during the pre-ovulatory phase, right when estradiol levels are peaking. During this time, many of the brain's key networks showed increased complexity and activity. These included the default mode network, which is active during self-reflection and mind-wandering, the limbic network involved in emotion, and the salience network, which helps us decide what to pay attention to. It's as if the entire brain orchestra is playing a more complex and dynamic piece of music, ready to adapt to new information and experiences. This heightened flexibility could be linked to changes in mood, sociability, or cognition during this fertile phase. In contrast, the brain showed the lowest overall flexibility during the early follicular phase, which corresponds with menstruation when hormone levels are at their lowest. It's a period of relative quiet in the brain's functional dynamics. Interestingly, even during this quiet phase, one specific network stood out: the dorsal attention network. This network is what we use to focus our attention on external tasks. Its heightened activity during menstruation might suggest the brain is prioritizing focused, goal-directed behavior when hormonal influences are minimal. It's a fascinating trade-off between different brain states across the month. The mid-luteal phase, characterized by high progesterone, brought another unique pattern. During this time, the default mode, subcortical and limbic networks once again showed increased complexity, similar to the pre-ovulatory phase, but driven by a different hormone. This shows that both estradiol and progesterone can boost the activity of these important emotional and self-referential networks, but perhaps for different reasons, or with different outcomes. This research beautifully complements the structural findings, showing that the physical changes in the brain are matched by dynamic shifts in its functional symphony, all dancing to the rhythm of the menstrual cycle. At the heart of all these brain changes are the hormones estradiol and progesterone. These two key players in the menstrual cycle act like conductors, orchestrating a complex series of events not just in the reproductive system, but directly within the brain itself. Our research, along with other recent studies, has started to draw clear lines connecting specific hormones to specific brain changes. Estradiol, which peaks before ovulation, appears to be the primary driver of increased brain flexibility and enhanced white matter efficiency. It acts like a catalyst for communication and adaptability. Think of estradiol as the networker hormone. It promotes connections and speeds up the flow of information. The 2024 study showed that higher estradiol levels predicted higher whole brain metastability, meaning a more flexible and dynamic brain state. Our 2023 study linked rising estradiol to changes in white matter that suggest faster information transfer. Together, these findings paint a picture of estradiol, preparing the brain for a state of heightened awareness and responsiveness. It fine-tunes the brain's hardware and software to be more interconnected and efficient, which aligns with the biological importance of the fertile window. Progesterone, which dominates the second half of the cycle after ovulation, plays a different but equally important role. If estradiol is the networker, progesterone is the builder and stabilizer. Our research clearly showed that rising progesterone levels were linked to an increase in brain tissue volume and a corresponding decrease in cerebrospinal fluid. This suggests progesterone is involved in promoting growth or swelling of brain tissue, perhaps to support the potential needs of early pregnancy. It shifts the brain's physical environment into a new state. Both hormones were found to be significant predictors of brain dynamics. While estradiol seems to have a broader effect on whole brain flexibility, progesterone also increases the complexity of specific networks, particularly those involved in emotion and self-reflection, the limbic and default mode networks. This could help explain some of the introspective or emotional shifts that many people experience during the premenstrual phase. It is no longer a mystery. We can now see how these hormones directly interact with brain circuits to influence our internal world. Understanding these distinct roles is a crucial step toward personalized medicine and health. The discovery that the brain's very structure and function change with the menstrual cycle has profound implications for understanding mental health. For many people, the premenstrual phase is associated with challenging symptoms, from irritability and anxiety in premenstrual syndrome to the debilitating depression and mood swings of premenstrual dysphoric disorder. For a long time, these experiences were often minimized. Now we have a potential biological explanation rooted in the physical changes happening in the brain. These are not just feelings. They are linked to tangible shifts in brain matter, fluid, and network activity. For example, our findings about progesterone's effect on brain volume and cerebrospinal fluid in the luteal phase could be highly relevant. This physical shift in the brain's environment might make some individuals more susceptible to mood disturbances or physical symptoms like headaches. Similarly, the increased activity in emotional brain networks, the limbic system, under the influence of progesterone, could explain why emotional sensitivity is often heightened during this time. For those with premenstrual dysphoric disorder, it's possible that their brains react more strongly to these hormonal changes, leading to more extreme shifts in mood and well-being. This research provides a vital framework for investigating these differences. Beyond mental health, these findings also open up new questions about cognition. If the brain's white matter is more efficient, and its networks are more flexible around ovulation, does that translate to a peak in certain cognitive abilities? Could this be the best time of the month for creative problem-solving, learning a new language, or social bonding? Conversely, do the changes in the luteal phase favor other types of thinking, perhaps more introspective or detail-oriented tasks? We don't have the answers yet, but these are no longer theoretical questions. We can now design studies to test these fascinating possibilities. Ultimately, this research serves to validate the lived experiences of billions of people. It provides a scientific basis for the cyclical changes in mood, energy, and thinking that many have always known to be real. This is a crucial step in destigmatizing menstrual-related health issues and taking them seriously in clinical practice. By understanding the underlying brain mechanisms, we can begin to develop more targeted and effective treatments for conditions like premenstrual dysphoric disorder. We can also empower individuals with knowledge about their own bodies, helping them to work with their natural rhythms rather than against them. We are standing at the dawn of a new era in our understanding of the human brain. The groundbreaking discoveries from 2023 and 2024 have definitively shown that the menstrual cycle induces significant, predictable, and recurring changes in the brain's structure and function. We have moved beyond simply acknowledging hormonal effects on mood and have entered a world where we can see the brain physically remodeling itself month after month. We can see white matter pathways optimizing for speed, gray matter thickening, and fluid levels shifting in a rhythmic dance choreographed by hormones. This is a fundamental shift in neuroscience. This body of work addresses a critical and long-standing gap in scientific research. For decades, the female brain and body were under-researched, with the menstrual cycle often viewed as a variable to be avoided rather than a phenomenon to be studied. This exclusion has limited our medical knowledge and has left many people without answers for their health concerns. By placing the menstrual cycle at the center of our investigation, we are not only correcting this historical imbalance, but also unlocking a wealth of information about brain plasticity, hormone-brain interactions, and the very nature of human health. The path forward is clear and filled with exciting possibilities. The immediate next step is to connect these structural and functional brain changes to specific cognitive and behavioral outcomes. We must now design studies that explore how these monthly brain modifications affect memory, attention, emotion, and decision-making in daily life. This will allow us to build a comprehensive map that links hormones to brain structure to brain function, and brain function to real-world experience. This knowledge will be transformative for both personal well-being and clinical medicine. In conclusion, the brain is not a static organ, but a dynamic, ever-changing landscape, and the menstrual cycle is one of its most powerful architects. This research is more than just an academic exercise. It is a vital step toward a more inclusive and accurate science. It provides a foundation for understanding and treating menstrual-related mental health conditions, for optimizing cognitive performance, and for empowering individuals with a deeper knowledge of their own biology. The journey into the menstrual brain has just begun, and it promises to yield discoveries that will benefit us all for generations to come.